What I'm hyped for today is Watchmen, the upcoming series premiering on HBO on the 20th of October 2019. The original Watchmen is a 12-issue long series of comics from writer Alan Moore, artist Dave Gibbons, and colorist John Higgins, published by DC Comics between 1986 and 1987. Set in an alternate timeline, the premise behind Watchmen sees superheroes being a prominent part of the world since the 1940s. However, towards the end of the 1970s, their violence has led them to become outlawed as a result of the Keene Act. Certain heroes have become government-sanctioned, others have hung up their capes, while others still continue to operate illegally. The realistic and mature setting of Watchmen, which in 2005 would feature in Time magazine's list of 100 best novels since 1923, led to a darker, bleaker tone than other comic material. Taking place in the 1980s, the work took a satirical look at the identity of superheroes while dealing with the current day issues at the time, like the continued tensions of the Cold War. Watchmen was adapted into a movie and corresponding video game in 2009. Before Watchmen, a prequel series of comics was published by DC Comics in 2012. A prequel series which neither Alan Moore or Dave Gibbons were involved in. Moore has consistently voiced his disapproval of adaptations of Watchmen. In an interview with Steve Rose for The Guardian, Moore stated, "Things that we did in Watchmen on paper could be frankly horrible or sensationalist or unpleasant if you were to interpret them literally through the medium of cinema." And he told Sarah Famira Books' Kurt Amaker, "It was something that stood on its own, and it had the integrity of a literary work." While Gibbons has voiced his approval of the upcoming series, it's safe to assume that Moore has not changed his mind regarding adaptations of the literary work. I, however, find myself to be quite excited for it. Hype that in no small part stems from the fact that the showrunner of the series is the man coming hot off the completion of my favorite TV show of all time. The Leftovers was a novel written by Tom Perrotta. The story followed a town reeling from the effects of a rapture-like event in which millions of people around the globe just suddenly vanished. Co-creator of the TV show Lost, Damon Lindelof, adapted the book into a 10-episode-long TV series. While I enjoyed this initial series, it was seasons 2 and 3, seasons which went beyond the scope of the source material, which I truly felt were masterpieces. And that's the crux of why I'm hyped for Watchmen. My favorite parts of The Leftovers saw the show go beyond the bounds of the novel and saw a greater exploration of the world, themes, and characters. Lindelof made it very clear that the upcoming Watchmen series will respect the canon of the original work and will not be messing with any of it, but instead will be telling a story set in its world. Characters like Dr. Manhattan and Jeremy Irons' aged Ozymandias are still involved. The way the world views superheroes has not changed. But by setting it in 2019, Lindelof and the Watchmen writers' room have a whole new different set of global issues to deal with. While the Cold War is over, the problems the Watchmen now face head-on include hate groups and white supremacy. The show will feature a group called the 7th Cavalry, a group of Rorschach followers that launch coordinated attacks on members of the police in Oklahoma. While the setting for Watchmen features no internet or smartphones, this group seems to also represent the anonymity of people on the internet, who can hide behind usernames and false profile pictures, dispensing hate and anger across the web. Our researcher has literally found these people commenting on articles about the show. Look at this anonymity on display! This representation is also reflected in the Watchmen and the police force. In order to protect themselves and their loved ones, police start wearing masks, and some become vigilantes themselves, including the main focus of the program, Regina King's Detective Angela Aba, who becomes the vigilante, Sister Knight. Throughout Lost and The Leftovers, Lindelof has always enjoyed giving individual characters their own episodes, in which their characters can really develop. I'm interested to see if he does that again with Watchmen, considering the diversity of viewpoints such material would need in order to be effective. This approach worked really well when it came to developing Leftovers characters like Kevin Garvey, Matt Jameson, and of course, Nora Durst. Nora Durst is a brilliant character. We first meet Nora in and that is why I think Nora Durst is fantastic. I'm hyped to see how Lindelof and his team do justice to the original work with their 9-episode-long Watchmen series premiering on HBO on the 20th of October, 2019.